What's up, everybody? It's your boy AT2. Since the death of Charlie Kirk, I've been going down this whole groper rabbit hole, and unfortunately, I'm learning a lot of different things that I probably didn't want to know, but I'm going to share it with you guys because I find it very interesting because, again, this has been something that has been heavily politicized as the left is dangerous, the left is violent, but this is actually a fringe group on the right. And I am talking about the Groypers, and basically, guess who's their leader? Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes' whole thing was about taking down Turning Point. Now, his people, because allegedly the shooter, Tyler Robinson, is a part of this Groper group, took it in a different way, and he went, I mean, there's no other way to put it. It went way too far. But Nick Fuentes had to take some accountability for himself, because at the end of the day, his language and the things that he was saying about Charlie Kirk, it was pretty disgusting. Let's go ahead and get into it. But first, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, y'all. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video.
He chooses to confront me or not, whether he has dignity and honor or not, it's just a matter of time.
He's talking about Charlie Kirk.
My ideas are already there. I've already impregnated your organization. I took Turning Point USA and I fucked it. I took your organization. Wow. I took your baby, Turning Point USA, and I fucked it. And I've been fucking it. And that's why it's filled with Groypers. That's why your whole crew, that's why the people around you, that's why your chapter presidents, that's why your attendees, they're all Groypers. So whether you choose to confront me or not over the honor of your Turning Point USA, it's immaterial to me. I'd like it. I just get a sick satisfaction out of it because I like to win. But we're already there. And this whole ideology, Zionism plus free market, it's dead either way. You know it. I know it. Pretty much the whole world knows it's over. In the last 7 years, who's moved closer to who? Could anybody accuse me of stealing Charlie Kirk's ideas? No. Has Charlie Kirk every step of the way moved in degree closer to me? Tried to ape my bit, my ideas, my style? Oh, no question. No question. We already own you. We own you. We own Turning Point USA. We own this movement. Whether you decide to have dignity about it and face me or not, that's up to you. That's something you'll have to tell your children. When Nick Fuentes became the future, when the Groypers took over the movement, did you take a valorant last stand? Were you courageous? Were you bold? Did you go down swinging or did you go down like a bitch? Did you run and hide? That's the only thing when you're explaining that to your family, Mr. Family Man. When you're explaining to your wife, when she's saying, why won't you just debate Nick Fuentes? And you got to explain to her. When your kids grow up, why didn't you just confront Nick Fuentes? You got to explain to them why you were afraid, why you were a coward. That's the only difference. Immaterial to me. We already won. But anyway, we're going to move on.
So just knowing like this is the way Nick Fuentes was talking and that crazy fringe right group, the Groypers, how they're thinking, the way Nick Fuentes is talking, it's all like, oh yeah, he wants us to do something about it. He wants us to destroy Turning Point. But again, you have those crazies, you have those sickos. And this is the thing about like these commentators online who do politics. Because I'll even throw Hassan in there. Like you say things and then don't realize like they have real consequences because not everybody knows this is an act. Yes, I'm exposing it. I'm taking off the veil. This is an act. It's like politics, unfortunately, is like watching professional wrestling. The way it is that you see them yell, scream, and they say these ridiculous things, right? But they think like, oh, everybody knows this is entertainment. Let's all shake hands afterwards and be like, oh, yeah, that was so good. You know, I really got the people going. They're not realizing, hey, politics is policy and affects people real lives. You can't play with people real lives like this, you know? And so again, I'm not saying Nick Fuentes made anybody do anything, but he takes ownership of this group. And I'm gonna show you another clip that I retweeted where
I was
he's
very aware
Candace.
of, obviously, like all.
Here we go, you guys.
All the Groypers tweeting when I got fired. Genuinely didn't know what the Groyper movement was outside of seeing you guys kind of pop up on college campuses and begin to ask some questions that I actually thought were very fair and questions that I hadn't considered. You know, why was I, when I was working at Turning Point USA, touring with Dave Rubin, who is a homosexual married man? Can you talk about, first and foremost, what a Groyper is and how the movement got started?
Well, it got started in 2019 when Charlie Kirk was doing his first big college tour. And I forget actually the first one. I think it was in Colorado. And a couple of fans of my show, I didn't tell them to do this. Actually, people had asked me before, should we do this? Is this a good idea? And I said, no, I don't think so. But two guys who watched the show, they went out on their own. And I think the one guy asked a question about legal immigration. You're against illegal, but you're for legal immigration. How's that conservative? And then another guy came up and he said something about Israel. You know, you seem to be Israel first. What about America? And the two clips blew up on Twitter, and I promoted them on my show. I said, that was unbelievable. That was really awesome. I said, because.
So if you're like me, who didn't really watch Charlie Kirk, you're under the impression that he just goes around the college campuses and he's talking to some left-wing liberal people. But no, it's also people on the right that are questioning his values, because Charlie Kirk, believe it or not, to us normal people, I wouldn't consider him a moderate, but on the right, he's considered a moderate. Crazy, right?
As you know, if we show up in MAGA hats and rosaries, who we are, you know, which is Trump, pro-Trump Catholics, and we present as the real right wing, this is unignorable. And people will start to ask these questions. So the following day, he did another event, I think in Iowa. Once again, there were a couple of Groypers asking these types of questions. Then the third day in New Hampshire, same story. And I remember doing a show covering the latest batch of clips. It turned into a thing. We were covering them on the show every night, the clips of these questions. And at that time, Groyper was a meme. It was like Pepe the Frog. And there's a few variations. There's Pepe, Marv, Apu, and Groyper was one of them. And Groyper's like a big cartoon frog.
Why is it named Groyper?
I don't know.
I literally don't know what Groyper means.
It came from a Twitter account called That Groyper. He just named it Groyper.
Okay, so it just doesn't mean anything.
No,
okay.
Yeah, it was technically called Easter Toad was the drawing, the proprietary drawing. But then some Twitter users started calling it Groyper. And at that time, you know, people would personalize the Groypers and make them an avatar. So, you know, they'd have different themes and different personalities. And Groyper became synonymous with like a far right, like retard. Like a Groyper was like, this guy is painfully, obnoxiously far right.
Okay.
And so I said on my show, imagine you're Charlie Kirk. You're standing up there on the stage sweating, and you have a line of Groypers asking you questions about the USS Liberty and dancing Israelis. I said, what must be going through his head? And ever since then, they took the Groyper standing upright, because the famous picture is he's sitting down like this. But they took a picture of the Groyper standing upright, and there was a meme at the time of Alex Jones walking down an alleyway, and they copy-pasted a bunch of Alex Jones. They said it was an army of Alex Jones. And so someone took that meme and they did it with Groypers. They had an army of Groypers marching down the alley. And I said, that's us. That's the Groypers lining up to ask Charlie Kirk a question. So that's the origin of the name.
Okay, interesting.
So this is the whole group of people that would also go to those college campuses and these different events that Charlie Kirk will hold so they can debate him.
I was always wondering, I'm like, what does Groyper actually mean? And so it's a lot of people that have these anonymous accounts. And like I said, we'll show a clip of it, but I thought it was very interesting because it was, I guess, questions that I hadn't really grappled with, which is, I'm on stage, I'm saying that I'm a Christian, and yet I'm touring with somebody who is a homosexual married man. How do I reconcile that? And rather than kind of getting the answer, I think I particularly remember one clip with, gosh, what is his name? I'm totally blanking here. It's a Black Army vet. I know his name.
Smith.
Rob.
Now, they kind of talk a lot about sexuality, and I remember seeing this interview, right? But the thing was is that I thought she was just trying to be funny and calling him gay. But something that I want to point out is that with the Groypers, they're so anti-women that they literally will turn one of the boys feminine. And there's this whole conversation about the Tyler Robinson, his roommate being trans. The roommate isn't necessarily trans. The roommate is a femboy. Yes, I went down this rabbit hole. And so with the femboys, they are more woman presenting and more feminine, and they kind of get together and they have a relationship. Like, it's the strangest thing ever, but this is what they're into, and they consider themselves on the right or right leaning. So yeah. And here's the thing, even with that conversation, because again, in the media, they're trying to push the whole trans thing. We all know that the major people that like trans people are people on the right, Republicans. That's why the Grindr account, it got shut down during the RNC because there was so many people on that app during the Republican National Convention. So yeah, they still can be on the right. It's probably why they always attack trans people, because again, they're hiding something, right?
Smith. It was a moment with Rob Smith, and I think somebody shouted down the person and said that they were homophobic. Like, the question is homophobic. And at that moment I went, yeah, you can't do that. You got to actually answer the question. There could be an answer, but we can't be like the left and just calling people names because we don't maybe want to confront that there is some substance to this question. But then you guys kind of, or maybe it sounds like it did start as an online movement. Who are the Groypers behind the scenes? Do you have communication with these people? They're real, obviously they're real human beings. But my point is that, like, is this movement, like, you guys are on a group chat and you know these individuals? Can we get a demographic? Are they older? Are they younger? Who are the Groypers?
Well, they are real human beings. They're all young white men. Or there's other men too. I mean, some of them are Hispanic, some of them are Black, some of them are Jewish for that matter. But they're mostly young men, college age, Generation Z. Some of them even high school aged, and all of them very Christian, very Catholic. Also, they're fans of the show. You know, a lot of people say have this cult-like following. People watch the show and they adopt the political viewpoint, the religious viewpoint. And so they're basically far right, pro-America, Catholic, at that time, big Trump supporters. And
let's talk about it, because Tyler Robinson, he was only 22. These are the kind of people that are susceptible to like this kind of language, this kind of culture, and cultivating young, because this is how you get them. And so there's a lot of young people who follow Charlie Kirk and a lot of young people who follow Nick Fuentes. They foster this culture, this radical culture. Like, you want to say the radical left. And like I said, Hassan, I would consider him radical. Like, there's plenty of people radical on the left, but at the same time, let's not forget about the right, because this came with inside the home. This didn't come from the outside. This came with inside the home. So again, this is the kind of culture that's fostered within Nick Fuentes and his Groyper movement. It's very weird, very strange. Again, am I justifying what happened to Charlie Kirk? No, I'm not justifying what happened to Charlie Kirk. Am I saying that I'm sad and, showing empathy? No, not that either. That's just my own personal opinion. And if you don't like it, kiss my ass. But please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're going to go ahead and get the hell up out of here. Love y'all. Deuces.